Hey guys, welcome back to Brian's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail, and today we are going to be talking about Gabby Petito and the Brian Laundrie tragic end. And I really wasn't going to do another video on this, but a lot of people had asked me, and since we had covered it on the channel, I did want to talk about it some more because the reason I didn't want to do another video is just because it's so upsetting to me. The whole thing is just so upsetting. So I just want to take a moment here to remember Gabby and what a wonderful life she had going for her, and just to the family members of everyone involved. I know that some of them on Brian's side didn't make the best decisions, but I can't imagine what any of them are going through. I'm sure, as everybody knows, I mean, this case got nationwide attention and then worldwide attention. And I'm not going to go back through the entire case. If you're interested, I'll leave links to my previous videos in the description. But the basic story, which I'm sure everybody knows by now, is this young couple. They had bought a van, they had retrofitted it to be a camper van, and they were traveling across country to various national parks. Eventually the couple landed in the Moab, Utah area, and I wanted to talk about this part of the case because there was a lot of controversy in talking about this part. And when I mentioned it in my first videos, so the couple was seen arguing fairly violently outside of a restaurant in the Moab, Utah area. Somebody subsequently called the police, and they were pulled over, and the police started interrogating. All this was caught on police body cam. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the footage. I'll have a link to it if you're curious. I'm not going to put it all here in the video, but when I talked about this in my first video, people were, saying how, well, look at, Brian, he's so cool and collected, and Gabby's sort of a mess. Well, I talked to a couple different people, and some people that actually analyze body language and people's responses to questioning. And the more I looked at this, the more it just made me even more upset, because it's really, when you watch this, Gabby is still at the point when she's being interrogated. She's trying to protect her boyfriend, Brian. She's trying not to get him in trouble. The police officer is saying, well, it looks like you got punched in the face. And she's like, well, no, yeah, kind of. She's really just trying, because she doesn't want him to go to jail. She doesn't want to get separated from him. So even though this police officer is telling her, look, I've been in situations where things can go south. Maybe you guys should just take a breather. And I just wish she would have heeded his advice, because then on the flip side, when you hear Brian being talked to, he's very sort of calm and collected. And he was able to talk his way out of this so well that the police actually ended up getting him a hotel room for the night. Honestly, the more you look at it, it's, at least in my opinion, the more it seems like he's a psychopath. I mean, just the way he's able to do that, knowing that, he just had been beating up on his girlfriend. And I'm sorry, I know a lot of people in the comments said last time, well, oh, maybe she just drove him to the edge. And I'm sorry, in my opinion, there's just never any reason to hit a woman, more or less anybody. Just walk away from a situation. From that area, the couple made their way up to the Salt Lake City area. She was last heard from or seen in Salt Lake City area. And then this whole case sort of unraveled from there. And unfortunately, back on September 19th, her body was found in Grand Teton National Forest in sort of a dispersed camping area. And now, after time, after they've had a chance to review the remains, it was determined that not only did she die by homicide, but by strangulation, which is just awful. I just can't imagine what this poor girl went through. At this point, people were already trying to talk to the Laundrie family. They were already trying to find Brian. Brian had subsequently, quote unquote, gone missing. But, I mean, it's hard to say what happened here. I mean, his family was either trying to protect him, or he lied to them so well that they were so blind by denial. Who knows? Hard for me to believe that they couldn't have known something. He had gone on this trip with his fiance. These two had been living together for years, and all of a sudden he comes back without her. Then him and his family go on this camping trip, which I just found so bizarre. And that was around September 6th, September 8th. Now, Gabby wasn't reported missing till September 11th, and then after she was reported missing, like I said, there was a search, and they subsequently found her remains. And then, of course, the FBI and authorities were trying to talk to the Laundrie family, trying to find Brian. And then, as I said, he subsequently disappeared, quote unquote. And they believe that he had gone down to this nature preserve in Florida, where it was sort of close to where they lived. I'm going to have some maps here. So then all this began like this all-out manhunt for Brian Laundrie. Agencies from the local police to the FBI, even Dog the Bounty Hunter had gotten involved in this, and they were focusing their search on the Mabry Carlton Jr. Memorial Reserve, which is an environmental park. And I guess Brian was familiar with this park. He had been there many times, so that's where they thought he was. Now, it wasn't until October 20th, so just a few days ago, that personal items belonging to Brian were found near the trailhead of Myakkahatchee Creek. And apparently that spurred, more of an investigation in that area, even though I believe they were all over that area. So in any event, law enforcement officials said that they then found partial human remains alongside what they believed to be Brian's backpack, notebook, were all discovered in this Florida Carlton Preserve. They did a comprehensive dental record analysis, and they confirmed that they were Brian Laundrie's remains. Now, obviously, I know this is devastating for his family, and I'm sure it's devastating for Gabby's family too, because now they'll never really have any answers. And personally, in my opinion, I think that he took the coward's way out. I mean, if he had faced this when it happened, things could have gone very differently. And yes, the whole thing is just a terrible tragedy. But unfortunately, now we'll never have any answers. We can sort of assume what happened, but the fact that the authorities never had a chance to talk to Brian, Gabby's family never got a chance to hear from him, that's got to be devastating. And I'm sure it's going to make the grieving process, that much the worse. But I just hope and pray that, they can find the strength to get through this and just to always cherish the memory of Gabby and her beautiful smile. And I wish, in this investigation, so let's just jump back a little bit. There was never an arrest warrant for Brian for the murder of Gabby Petito. He had an arrest warrant based on using fraudulent charges because he had used Gabby's credit card without her knowledge. And I just couldn't believe that there was, there was a huge manhunt for this man, but I think in the beginning, I just wish there had been a little bit more pressure. Now, once this case hit the media, it was a storm, but I don't know. I just wish they had gotten him to talk sooner, before he had fled, before he had gone down to this nature preserve, because at that point the investigation had been going on for weeks. Now, I know Gabby's family was trying to get this man to talk. They were trying to get his family to talk, but the authorities weren't as pressuresome, and they were trying to keep everyone sort of in their own corners. And it wasn't until right before Brian, quote unquote, went missing, the Friday before, that the family said, yeah, you guys can come down, we'll talk to you. And then, of course, the FBI and the authorities show up to the Laundrie family on that Monday, and they say, oh, well, Brian's not here, we haven't seen him for days. So, unfortunately, who knows, we probably will never get the full story, which is really sad. It's destroyed 2 lives and 2 families that'll probably never be the same. And honestly, all this guy had to do was walk away. The freaking police got him a hotel room when this happened in Moab. The police gave him an out. They should have arrested him, and they gave him an out. The police officer called his supervisor because he felt so bad for Gabby after Gabby had told this story, and Gabby had pleaded with him not to get Brian in trouble. Here she was still trying to protect the man that had just beaten up on her, and the police officer said they should separate for the night. And the police officer paid for Brian to get a hotel room. Brian should have at that point said, look, Gabby, I'm sorry. I'm just going to go home and cool off. And who knows what happened from there on, but I'm sure it was hell. And I just can't imagine what she went through. And it's just such a tragedy because it's such a senseless tragedy. It so easily could have been avoided. All this guy had to do was get her a plane ticket, fly her home, and then drive back himself, or vice versa. Instead, now it's left a huge hole in all the lives and hearts of people that knew these people. And I just can't, and wrapped up the whole world and tons of different authorities. And it's just, such an awful, awful tragedy, and I can't imagine what the families are going through, both their families. And as hard it is for me to, to understand what Brian's family did, my thoughts and prayers go out to both families, but especially Gabby's family. I mean, I can't imagine what they're going through and now not having any answers, but to the Laundrie family as well. I mean, they now lost their son to this tragedy, and his sister seemed like a good person, and she seemed like, she wanted this to come to a conclusion, and the whole thing is just a terrible tragedy. I mean, here these two went out for a trip of a lifetime, and it turned into an international nightmare. And not only that, not only did these families have to go through this, but they had to go through it in the eyes of the entire world. And I just hope and pray that they can find the strength to move forward. And I know it's going to be a long healing process, and I think that they can all use our thoughts and prayers. And I just hope and pray that other people see this and at least learn something from it, like learn to control their emotions. And if you're ever in a situation like this, just step away, leave the situation. I mean, there's never anything worth this kind of terrible incident. Just walk away, and it's amazing how one decision can change the effect of your whole life. And that's what being an adult man or woman is about, making decisions and then being responsible for those decisions. I know this has been a very difficult and emotional case for everyone involved, and a lot of people around the world. And I think conversation is good, but I think that it's important not to spread more hate and anger. So I think when we're leaving comments, please do it in a respectful way. You can express yourself without, generating more hate. Remember, these are real people going through an unimaginable tragedy. So please be respectful in the comments if you choose to leave them. I want to thank everybody for watching, as always. And special thank you to co.ag for providing the background music. And I will see everyone in the next one. Take care. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me to the end, and I would definitely like to hear your thoughts on this case. I know it's been a very hard case for everybody to hear and know about, but just hoping that, in the future, other cases won't turn out this way. And I wanted to let everybody know that the Halloween giveaway that I'll be doing is going to be a fanny pack for a woman and a man. So all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment. I guess that would be a way, and we'll talk about it more in the next few videos. All right, guys. See you.